So Western Kentucky Hilltoppers are packing their bags for another trip to the big dance after beating FIU to win the Sun Belt. Chad Bishop from the Bowling Green Daily News joins me on the phone with a look at what's ahead for the Toppers. Chad, I understand you're on your way back from the game last night. How you doing, man?
Doing real well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what is it about Ray Harper coach teams for the second straight year, an improbable run to the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship, a return trip to the NCAA. With all the injuries, was this one even more surprising than last year?
That's arguable. I think this one was a little bit different in the sense that last year nobody gave them any sort of chance. Having an interim coach go to full-time coach in Ray Harper, they were a little bit lower of a seed. This year, going in, I think a lot of folks thought they would win the first-round game against 11th-seeded Louisiana Monroe, and they didn't have to do those crazy, wild comebacks that they did last year. But still, to win it for the second year in a row, 4 games in 4 days, get some of the breaks and win on some of the last-second plays that they did, still very, very improbable.
And talk about, I know Ray Harper, I remember talking to him earlier in the year, and he was saying, hey, look, this isn't really a fair representation of our team. This is back when they played Louisville. We're not healthy. We're nowhere near healthy. How much of their turnaround has to do with just getting some of the key guys back and playing more like themselves?
Yeah, it has everything to do with the injuries. And Coach was right. When they played Louisville, VCU, Murray State, just a brutal stretch of games without senior point guard Jamal Crook. TJ Price was banged up with an ankle injury. Kevin Caspar, a backup guard, had a hamstring pull. And redshirt junior shooting guard Caden Dickerson had a separated shoulder. I mean, that was almost the entire backcourt roster sitting on the bench. And so they just didn't have enough bodies. And slowly but surely they started to get healthy, started to have about a 3-week stretch toward the end of the regular season where everybody was healthy in practice. They could do what they wanted to do in practice, and that's what prepares this team for games. So when they got down to Hot Springs, Arkansas, they had a full roster and had everybody ready to go. And those injuries turned out to be a blessing. They developed some depth, could make, what I like to refer to as line changes, bring in 4 or 5 guys at one time, and that wore teams down as the week went on.
Talk about Ray Harper a little bit. What about him, his coaching style, what is it about him in general that he seems to be able to get at this point of the year, get his teams playing at a high level?
I think it's a no-nonsense factor. He's a player's coach. He doesn't let them buy into any outside noise. He believes in them. He instills a belief into them that they can win no matter what. They can beat anybody and they can come back when they're faced with a deficit that's probably a little too large for some other teams. And for whatever reason, those kids have bought in and they believe in him. They understand that defense and rebounding is key because they're not as talented offensively as most teams that they face. So they have to win with defense and rebounding. And I think it helps they won it last year. I think that was a big boost into the kids believing that, hey, if we do what Coach tells us to do, we can do this again this year, and that's what they did.
What's the feeling as far as what kind of seed? I know last year they were in the play-in game. I've seen projections 16, 15. I've seen some people wonder, are they going to put, last year they ended up playing UK at the Yum Center. Would they put them at Rupp against U of L? What's your feeling on where they'll be seeded, 15, 16, play-in? What's your take?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting discussion. Last year everyone knew they would be a 16. They had a losing record. We just kind of watched the selection show for fun because everybody knew they were going to be in Dayton in that play-in game on that Tuesday night. This year, it's a little bit different. I think they could be a 15 seed, no higher than that. I don't think they'll go back to the play-in game. I haven't been there last year, but they could very well be a 16 again. I think a lot of it depends on what else happens around college basketball. We already know Liberty is in the tournament with a losing record. You have to assume your SWAC champ and your MEAC champ will be a 16 seed. So if there's some other teams that spring some upsets that have losing records and win automatic bids, that could push Western Kentucky up to a 15 seed. Frankly, from my end, I would like it that way so I don't have to go back to Dayton and do a Tuesday-Thursday split again. That was a little hectic.
Yeah, I'm sure that was rough, man. Spring practice, football practice is around the corner, of course. Bobby Petrino, is settled in. What's the vibe now? Now that it's calmed down a little bit, what's the feeling surrounding the football program as the spring is near?
Yeah, it's pretty positive. Like you said, things have calmed down, kind of the calm before the spring storm. I think everybody's really curious to go out there and see what his football team has to offer, how they're going to run things, who's going to emerge as a starting quarterback, what the offense is going to look like. It's my understanding that a lot of these practices will not only be open to the media, but maybe open to the public as well, just to kind of sit around and watch and take things in. So it's definitely going to be interesting and exciting the first couple of days that they're out there to see what Coach Petrino has to offer.
Personnel-wise, Coach Taggart recruited to his system, which was more of a power running game, play-action type of attack. Bobby Petrino's coming in with an entirely different offense. Is that the key to the spring, is making sure that the players make that transition comfortably?
Exactly. I don't think they'll have too many problems defensively now. They did lose their entire defensive front, but the linebackers and secondaries will be fine. Offensive line will be okay. But you don't have a quarterback. And as you said, Willie Taggart did not recruit a lot of wide receivers. He has a couple good ones on the roster, but Bobby Petrino really had to go out, scour the high school ranks. There's going to be a lot of true freshmen and junior college transfers catching passes next year in this offense. So it's going to be key for them to find a quarterback, get that timing in the passing game down, and try to develop a consistent offensive threat throughout the spring.
Talk about the the candidates at quarterback. And who, in your opinion, is the front runner going into spring?
In my opinion, is James Morrow. He's a real tall kid from Texas. He came in last year at Arkansas State when Kaylon Jakes went down with an injury, and he led Western Kentucky to a road win after being down 13-0 at halftime at Arkansas State. So he has a lot of talent, a lot of promise. Brandon Dowdy would probably be behind him. He's a kid that Jeff Brom actually recruited before back in the day at FAU. He's probably, I would say, second in the pecking order. Then you have a freshman coming in, a kid by the name of Todd Potter from the St. Louis area. I'd probably put him fourth. And then the wild card, maybe third or even second, is DeMarcus Smith, who fans should be readily aware of. The kid from Seneca High School, once a Louisville commit, once a Central Florida signee. And they could even use him in a two-quarterback system, maybe to run the ball a little bit. So it's definitely going to be a battle. Coach Petrino has made it clear that nobody has the job. They may not even have the job until fall, and it's going to be a true quarterback battle throughout the spring.
Well, hey, Chad, thanks a lot. I know it's been a great year to cover Western sports, and enjoy the ride in the NCAA tournament. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.